kind of want to go back to that thing of I hope some teams start doing more. I feel like there's steps in the right direction, but at the same time, I kind of feel like sometimes there's maybe just a little bit of a step, two steps backward kind of thing. Sometimes former front office employee, I was worked for the Grand Rapids Griffins from the 2011 to 2013 season. It's primarily an intern, but gosh, I had enough hours working there that I could have been a full time employee. And then from there, I moved on to work with the Fair State Bulldogs, who are NCAA D1 team from 2013 to 2015 when I graduated. So it's been a couple of years since I've worked in sports, especially hockey, but some days I kind of miss it. But I personally came out as bi in 2019. So that's kind of part of what brought me to this conversation with you, I think. So,
Well, and I'm happy to have you here. How did Michael get into hockey?
It's kind of a weird little story, I think. So I was living with a bunch of guys here in Grand Rapids, and they were all really into it. And I was really bored. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get into another sport just because, well, I live in Michigan. Football is, supposedly the big thing here, but it's Michigan, it's Detroit, it's the Lions. We all know how that works.
Yeah, that's really rough.
Yeah. So this was actually legit, I think 2007, 2008, when I got into watching Red Wings hockey. And boy, that was exactly the right time, honestly, to kind of get into it, because it was right around the time that they won the cup and that like really fun rivalry between the Penguins. So I just hook, line, and sinker. I dove into it. I learned everything I could about it and asked all my friends, who some of them did play like a little pickup in there or not. And I was just like, this is my thing. I absolutely loved it. I became just engrossed in it.
And what is it that you love about it?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think a lot of it is this, like the speed of it, like the athleticism of it. And then, which I think a lot of this conversation will kind of tie into, is there's a really cool kind of community behind it. Like one of my best friends, who we both worked at the Griffins for a little bit. He still does in some capacity, but we talk just daily about just like, see this highlight? Did you see that highlight? Oh, just catch, last night's Montreal Vegas game, that kind of stuff. And I still talk to him about it this day. And I've met so many like really cool people having worked in hockey, just like, just being rinkside. I've been in some really cool places, like just hanging out. Like when I worked for Ferris, Ferris did the Great Lakes Invitational Tournament for the first time my last season that I worked with them. And I got to I basically had free roam of like the Joe Louis Arena, which for some folks, I mean, it might not be a huge thing. But to me, it's like, this is really cool. Like I got to just wander around everywhere, and there's like just no one around because it was during the holidays. And I think they were on the road at the time, the Red Wings were. And I was like, this is really cool. I just to hang out and just like talk to all these guys and whatnot. So it's just that really cool, that cool community aspect, I think really kind of brings me back to it.
That seems to be a common theme, and I like hearing that because I think it matters that we can build those. How could hockey be better for you based off your, intersection of identity and also for the queer community as a whole?
I think some teams do a really great job. I really do. Like Vancouver, I think they do some really good stuff. I've seen the Wings even get a little bit better about it. Like I see them actually doing stuff outside of June. I think they ran a game this past February where they gave away Pride themed jerseys, and I was like, unfortunately, I was kind of dead broke at the time. I was like, otherwise, I would have got down there and got one of those. But I think for that kind of stuff, it's kind of like it's, I guess, icing on the cake. But I think my biggest problem is I don't see enough minor league teams, I think, really make an effort outside of, here's the rainbow logo, cool, whatever. That I think that's just in minor league. I think hockey needs to work a little bit better at it, from what I've seen personally. Whether it's some sort of initiative where they have, like some sort of like LGBT like group of players. Like I think the Detroit one, if I remember correctly, it benefited like Detroit Gay Hockey or something like that. I don't remember the exact group or whatnot, but it was something along those lines. I was like, okay, that's kind of a step in the right direction. But like, I want to see something outside of like, slapping the rainbow logo on it. Like, as long as that like is attached to maybe possibly, having something going to like towards like the Trevor Project, or you can play something like that. Those are okay, but I want to see just a little bit more, and I don't know what that more is. If it's getting more groups involved.
So what keeps you in the sport?
I don't know. I just like watching it. I think it's at the connection with like my friend group and that community that I'm still in. Like, because I still talk to a lot of my friends who still work for those teams. I still talk to them, and I still keep up with it. It's just become like my sport that I continuously watch. Like, as I said, I mean, I watch football. I get disappointed. I watch a little bit of baseball. Tigers are also not the greatest right now, but
Well, neither are the Red Wings, so
well,
you're yeah, it's nor are the Pistons, so it's
yeah,
tough to navigate men's team sports in Detroit these days.
yeah, still a little bit, but it's part of my, like, I guess it's part of my identity. Like, I love, like the moments and the experiences like I had, like when the Griffins won that first Calder Cup. I was there. Like, I got to drink out of it, got to touch it and all that stuff. Like, there's just all these really cool memories that I have that I still attached to, and nothing's really driven me away from it.
I love that. Those memories
Yeah.
are great. What gives you hope for queer people in the sport?
I mean, with the announcement of gosh, I forget his name, the NFL player.
Carl Nassib?
Yes. That I think is like, I love hearing stories like that. I hope to see that there's more, and I hope like what I envision that gets to the kind of the point where it's not so much a big news story, but it's still something that can be kind of celebrated, kind of thing. Like, obviously this is kind of a big deal because I guess he's an active player, in the NFL. He's out. That's awesome. So that's what I kind of hope happens. Like, you see more of these kind of stories, and there's stories that obviously should be shared, but it doesn't become such a big news item thing. Like now, this is obviously the same, but when I came out to my mother as bi, she was like, "Oh, okay, cool, that's fine." Like, I kind of had a feeling that you were bi. Like, that's fine. And that's, I think that's kind of the reaction I think most folks look for, I think, in this situation.
Totally, completely agree. Michael, is there anything you'd like to add?
I kind of want to go back to that thing of, I hope some teams start doing more. I feel like there's steps in the right direction, but at the same time, I kind of feel like sometimes there's maybe just a little bit of a two steps backward kind of thing sometimes, especially with the things that you've been bringing to light with some of the teams that are being sponsored by companies who donate to anti-LGBT, congressmen and congresswomen and stuff like that. Like, that's kind of the two steps backward kind of thing. And so I hope that teams kind of like make more cognizant decisions about that kind of stuff in the future. So
couldn't agree more. It irks me, and it makes everything feel performative when you see that. So yep. I'd really like them to consciously make decisions based off recognizing the impacts they could have.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of just, like I said, again, just throwing something rainbowed on their logo and calling it a day, and like, we did it. Give us a pat on the back. No, it's nice, but it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, Michael, thank you for sharing with us. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming out. Congratulations. And you work with people in hockey, you're friends with people in hockey, and just by being you and being out, it's going to change the hockey world. So thank you.
Thank you, Brock. And thank you for being such a great voice for LGBT hockey too. I really do. But I respect a lot of what you say. So.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you.